Hello, and
Hello,
we
everyone.
we are now live at the Level Up Academy HQ. We've even got a little logo now.
We're also trying to go live on YouTube, and unfortunately, we ran into technical difficulties. So, unfortunately, today we're not live on YouTube, but we're going to post this video up on YouTube. So, if you want to have a look at it later, we will be there.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about how to get over fear of failure. So you'll basically learn more about our story, how we experienced fear of failure, what we did, and the kind of tips we learned along the way to then get over that fear of failure and all the other fears that come with it, and how you can also apply the same thing based on our experience.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, and we're going to kick off with just talking a bit about our own personal experience, starting a business.
Yeah.
We've been dabbling, and we were excited for a long time to break out of the 9 to 5 rat race, right?
Yes.
And we really wanted to kind of be our own bosses. Really excited by that. Thought we could make it big ourselves. I mean, we still do.
And like interesting point. Sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
once you start feeling like you want to get out of the 9 to 5 and do your own thing, it's almost impossible to stay as motivated in your 9 to 5 and give it your 100%. Because
But that
each day that goes by, you're like, I want to do more. I want to do different things.
you're jumping the gun because we had a quote that we wanted to share earlier on, where by Winston Churchill, or share later on by Winston Churchill, where he said the key to success is going from failure to failure with no less enthusiasm, and we only recently discovered this.
Yeah.
And
But it sums it up perfectly.
exactly, it sums up that point perfectly. That actually, when we heard that, we're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Because all the successful people you see out there, you look at them, and if you don't dive into it, you might think they became successful overnight.
Yeah.
But actually, when you dive in a little, you see how hard they've worked. All the kind of successful coaches, all the big brands you see out there, of course, they weren't successful overnight. What they had is a vision, and they hustled hard, and they just kept working. So they went from failure to failure to failure, and eventually became really successful.
Yeah. But what about us? What did we do?
Exactly. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to mention was that we both worked at the same company, same corporate company, and made it was there were kind of good days and bad days. We've made a lot of met a lot of incredible people there, but we met each other and we kind of really connected because we wanted to be our own bosses, start our own thing, and as we eventually just started organizing these strategy meetings where we would just brainstorm ideas for our business, and there were loads of them. Right, we had so many ideas.
Some of you have seen our whiteboard here, but that's like, I don't know, a quarter of the size of the whiteboard that we had when we were doing the other strategy meeting.
Exactly.
And it was covered with stuff.
And but the point there is that we spent a good few months kind of talking and planning and trying to kick off certain ideas. Yeah. And then kind of losing interest or feeling like it's not going to work, and then moving on to the next idea, and then same again happened. We'd move on to the next idea.
Yeah.
But the thing that excited us the most at the time was the design work, and this is kind of one of the first points I wanted to make here. That in our experience, we found ourselves getting really excited about looking like a business rather than operating like a business. And so, I mean, we both love the design element of creating a brand and making pretty posts for Instagram or creating pretty websites. And we really jumped straight into that.
Yeah.
But it killed a lot of time. We never actually started speaking to clients.
Months.
Months.
It took us months, and we were still just creating posts and whatever. But interesting point though around why we had all these ideas but never actually took more than one step forward. And we probably didn't know this at the time, but we were sort of like, oh yeah, this is great, but, and then had a list of buts.
This is an important point, guys, that we've been through a journey, and we're still on that journey.
Still on the journey, yeah.
But in these early days, we were pretty ignorant to the idea of the fear of failure.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly as you said. But all we found was that our to-do list kept growing. We never ended up speaking to clients. We never made any money in the early days, and we always wondered why. And then we discovered this whole idea, the fear of failure. And we thought, that was like a aha moment, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? Because we speak to a lot of people nowadays, and some of you who've been following us for a while know that we started coaching people in the fitness space. So we dive deep into that, and we coach a lot of people in the fitness stuff. And now we're trying to help other people do similar things to what we've done, which is identify what our passions were and then figure out how to make that into a profitable business. So if you think about it in that way, we didn't know when, like before we started the fitness business, we didn't know why we couldn't connect with people, and it was a journey that we had to
But it
go on.
wasn't. It wasn't even. Sorry to kind of interrupt, but it wasn't really not connecting with people because
Yeah,
we
we
were
weren't even
quite we
putting
were
the
good at
effort.
that.
Yeah,
It's the fact that we weren't making any money and
yeah,
we were just or making any sales
yeah.
because we weren't transitioning into the sales chat or we weren't offering our product. We were very good at
Yeah,
connecting with
that's
people,
true.
but then that conversation always went into a different direction. And yeah, I mean, bringing it probably one thing that's really important that we
Mm.
forgot to mention at the start is this is Pete.
This is Pete.
We need to introduce a key player
Yes.
of our current business, and this is Pete. Pete is currently holding our microphone,
Yeah.
so hopefully you guys can hear us.
Well, this is a funny thing because if you go on our Instagram, some of you are watching on Instagram live, but if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, go check out our Instagram and you'll see the behind the scenes of how we've set up this studio. We have almost spent no money on this, and yet our Instagram, or hopefully our YouTube content you've seen is relatively good quality, and Pete is an essential toolkit, just like a multitude of other things that you would not expect to be in a studio where people film. So check that out.
The important thing about starting a new business is to be creative. Anyway, let's kind of bring it back to the fear
Fear
of
of
failure.
failure.
So hopefully, by the stories that we mentioned at the start, there was definitely a discrete fear of failure when we were first beginning, and the telltale signs of that was that we were brainstorming loads of ideas and never actually taking the next step forward.
Yeah.
Another one that we experience even to this day, but we'll talk about in a bit, how we manage this fear now. But back then, there was a fear that something we noticed was that when we did start speaking to clients and we try to get them onto calls,
Mm.
when the client agreed to jump onto a call, regardless of what time it was in the day, whether even if it was kind of 9 a.m., we'd still say, "Can we book a call for the next day?"
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we have time to prepare. And of course, it's really important to prepare, but that was a clear indicator that
Yeah.
we were kind of nervous that we need to kind of prepare more. We're always prepared. I mean, nowadays we are quite good at preparing. We've got a lot of kind of material. We're
Yeah.
quite well practiced. So actually, there's nothing stopping us from just jumping onto a call within half an hour.
No.
But instead, we'd always say, "Oh, can we talk tomorrow?" Just in case we're not prepared enough. So
Yeah.
there's a fear there that was just stopping us from just speaking, getting onto a phone with a customer
Yeah.
and getting to know their problems. And on top of that, sorry, I'm kind of going on a rant here, but
Always.
always the rant. For you guys watching on Instagram, you'll probably remember my rants on our lives back in the day. But you know, we'd kind of get onto this call and we'd connect with them. We know how to connect with them. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't jump onto this call to sell to them. And we know that now. But you don't want to jump onto a call to sell to them. You want to jump on a call to hear about their problems.
Mm.
And it's as simple as asking them, "What are you struggling with right now?"
Mm.
And you don't need to prepare for that.
No, but interestingly, we were there to solve problems based on our expertise, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys are thinking about wanting to start your own business, this is something you should probably look out for based on our experience, is that we would put things off that would actually make a meaningful difference to our business. But instead, we would keep ourselves occupied by the smaller things that we thought made a difference. Kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's like making it look like we were a business.
Yeah.
We had a website up and running. We had all these Instagram posts that were looking sick. It was looking a lot better than some of the competitors we've seen. And we were like, yes, you know what? We are so good. We are the business. But actually, behind the scenes, we didn't really have many clients, but we were trying to speak to them and get better and better. But this is before our fitness days, right? So we started learning about all of these concepts and upskilling ourselves. And in fact, we actually spent quite a lot of money investing in our own abilities and investing in our own skills to bring that
It's
up.
not only money but time as
And
well.
time.
We've kind of, and it's a really important point. Kind of thing, just not distinction, but investment comes
Yeah.
in two ways. One's financial, and it's really important.
Yeah.
But because it means you commit to what you're doing. But the time effort is massive, and that's
Massive.
probably the biggest investment you can make at the moment. As
Yeah.
a new aspiring coach, aspiring
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you don't need to hold off starting your business. There's a lot that you can do without spending a single penny.
Yeah.
We in the early days we leveraged free resources to
Mm.
upskill ourselves, to train ourselves, and now we're kind of paying money to actually get some
The
more
knowledge
training
we need.
from specific people,
Yeah.
which is great. But yeah, you're right. We were putting off this important, what we call revenue generating activities that can actually help us grow our business.
Exactly. And coming back to the fear of failure part, this is when we realized, because we spend a lot of time analyzing our own behaviors, right? And how we do it, why we're doing things and not doing things. And then we actually realized that when we spent a little bit of time to thinking about why is it that we weren't making progress? Why is it that we're spending loads of time doing design work, but not enough time talking to people who are actually going to validate our idea? And deep down, it was basically that we were just afraid of hearing no,
Yeah.
or just failing, right? Because we thought that would have something that would say something about us. It would mean that we're not good enough. It would mean that we didn't know what we're doing, and we didn't want to put ourselves out there like that. But that, we now know, is a mistake. Once we've overcome that objection of this fear of failure, and this irrational fear of just hearing the word no, we just started making huge progress, because in fact we just then started understanding why somebody would say no, changing those things, making it better, and once we did that, then we actually launched our business in 1 month of realizing that, and had our first client.
A
So
paying client,
paying client,
not even
paying
a kind of
client.
a free beta client.
Yeah.
Someone who's just agreed to entertain us. They paid money
Yes.
for our services
Yes.
within less than a couple of months.
Yeah.
Within a month. I think it was just over a
Once
month.
we realized what
Yeah,
we were doing wrong,
exactly.
right? So
And I mean,
yeah.
so like we're going to move on to tips in a moment, guys. I don't know if you wanted to add something
Yes.
else, but what I was going to say is that we're even today, as we're continuing to build our current business, helping new or aspiring coaches or consultants kind of
Yeah.
find, clarify, and articulate their idea and get the confidence to take that next step. We are still battling with this fear of failure.
Yeah.
The fear of failure is there, but it's part of our process.
Exactly. And now we know how to deal with it. In fact, we have some big things coming. Some of you are on Instagram, some of you are on Facebook, YouTube people, now we have some big things coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. But it makes us nervous. It
It
still
is.
gives us the heebie-jeebies, right?
The heebie-jeebies. Love it.
Yeah.
Our favorite statement when we're working together is get comfortable feeling uncomfortable.
Oh
And we
yes.
we every day it's sometimes gets really annoying because the entire day will be spent just feeling really uncomfortable. When you get the butterflies in your
Yeah.
stomach and you just feel like you want to just go to sleep or watch a Netflix episode and just switch off and give up. It's that feeling is just there.
Yes.
But we have now
We
these
push
kind of
past it.
processes, techniques. We motivate each other as well. That's
Yes.
really important. But we have these tools and techniques, and because we're so aware of this now, we know how to remind ourselves of why we're doing this in the first place.
Exactly.
So shall we now move on to our top tips?
Yes, because that's the perfect transition. So now you know a little bit of our story and how we kind of went through the same things. Hopefully, you can relate to that. Now, the first thing that we realized that we did that helped us out is actually to acknowledge the fear.
We've mentioned this a few times already,
Yeah.
just through our story, but that is one of the biggest turning points for us, right?
It seems simple, but actually, if you think about it, if you're putting stuff off, how often do you actually spend time to evaluate why you're putting things off?
And you might tell yourself in response to that question, oh, but the washing needs to be done.
Yes.
My manager at my current kind of 9 to 5 has asked me to do this. I've got to do X, Y, and Z.
Got to stay late at work. I don't have time.
I'll start this business when I'm a bit more certain as to what my next year will look like, or when the virus or the pandemic is over.
Yes.
That's a big thing, obviously, with us right now.
And the whole I don't have time right now type thing, or I have to do X, Y, Z. It needs to be in a row before I can take the next step.
Yeah.
Let's remind you guys of when we started our business. We were actually still in a business consulting job that took quite a lot of our time. It was definitely not a 9 to 5. I can tell you that much. So we worked in the evenings and weekends to try and upskill ourselves and make this all happen. We've actually, some of we've actually only just in the last 2 months gone full time into this business.
Yeah.
But until then, we were actually fully running it alongside our full time job. So it's definitely doable. But the first thing is definitely to acknowledge the fear. Once you've acknowledged that, then you realize what it is that's going on with you, and you can actually do something about it. So something to wrap this all up is, if you want to be courageous, if you want to take the next step, what we've found out is courage doesn't happen when you're not afraid. Courage is when you feel the fear and do it anyway.
And full disclosure, I think that is a quote, but can we either of us remember who said
I
that
don't.
quote?
Yeah, we don't know who that is
We
by.
forgot. But the
Look it up. We will find it.
Yeah, it is a quote, and but it's a great quote. You know,
Yeah, we live by that.
To repeat it, courage is not. What is it? Courage is not acting without fear.
Yeah.
It is
feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
And doing it anyway. So that's your the first takeaway.
First takeaway.
The next tip is about recognizing that failing is a choice.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it
comes down to a matter how you perceive failure. Okay. Of course, you can fail at something and think, "Oh, what's the point? I'm going to give up," and then move on, and then you just accept the failure for what it is.
Yeah.
We propose a different alternative. You look at this something that hasn't worked, whether it be a business concept. You decide to try and start a business. As we've said previously, we've started a few concepts. We tried to start a few ideas, a few businesses, and they didn't work. But what they did do is, because we stepped back from those businesses, we had a look at them and we asked ourselves, why didn't it work? What did we do wrong? What could we do better next time? And we kept driving, because our driving force is to start a business and help you guys start a business.
Yeah.
So, our driving force is to become our own bosses, in the same way as many of you guys, it's probably the same driving force many of you guys have.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that it's not failure, it's not failure until you give up.
Yes.
Right? And so if you consider it more as any of these bumps as a learning curve, as something that you learn from, then it's just a growth opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And this is an interesting way to think about it. It's, if you were a kid and you fell down, what would you do? You just get up, dust yourself off, and walk off, right? If you're now an adult, when you hear the word no, or something isn't going your way, why does that same thing not apply? So when we realized that, we were like, hey, hang on a second. We actually, failing doesn't mean failure. Failing is almost like a little mistake, and then we learn from it. And then as soon as you learn from it, you improve. Yeah. And then you're no longer a failure, because you're continuing to improve your services, improve whatever you're doing, and then you go into the next level, which exactly. Which we're hopefully doing now. Currently.
I mean, guys, and it is worth it.
Yeah.
We have
so far definitely worth it.
We have brainwaves. Again, it's really uncomfortable. We always find ourselves in an uncomfortable position. We're always battling the fear of failure.
Yeah.
But there are times where we're like, damn, we've actually done that. We've done, and we celebrate it, and it's great. And you hit these milestones, and when you look back, you're so much further from where you were at the start.
Exactly. And if you wanted to watch our video on goal setting, then check it out. If you're on YouTube, you can just click the top left corner or right corner, I guess, if you're watching it. Just up here. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, go check out our YouTube channel, and then you'll be able to see it there.
Exactly.
But that transitions us nicely to the next tip we have for you, which is about reframing how you think.
It's kind of similar, but a little bit different.
Obviously. A little bit different. In fact, probably the single biggest revelation we've had, and we only had that revelation this year, because we read this book, Go for No. If you haven't read it, and if you want to be an entrepreneur or any kind of business owner, read that book. We'll leave it in the description below so you can check it out. It is incredible, just for this one thing. And this one thing is basically thinking about failure in a very different way, which is, normally people think about it this way, right? Imagine you are in the middle. You think success is this way. You want to head towards success and avoid failure at all costs, right? That's how normal people think. That's how we also thought.
Not normal people, a lot of people.
A lot of people. A lot of people. But this is the way they reframe it in the book, which is genius, which is, you are not always moving away from failure and towards success. That's not the way it is. In fact, you are on this end over here, and failure is along the way to success, which is your destination. So it's like, if success was your destination, then failure is the pathway to
it's
get
a
there.
stepping stone.
Stepping
You
stone.
may have seen a graphic where it says, you know, the what is it, IG versus reality of any sort of business or any startup. You have the kind of IG version of, or the overnight success that you might think is reality, but the reality is of the success of your business is that kind of jagged line, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, these failures are just stepping stones towards the success.
Yes.
And as we mentioned earlier, it's only real failure if you give up.
Yes.
But if you persist and learn from these bumps in your road or these stepping stones, then you're at some point the next step will be success.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, success is defined differently to everybody, right? So we have our own definitions of success. If you're looking to start your own business, you will have your own version of success. When we spoke to people in our fitness program, they had their own different versions of success. But ultimately, it all comes down to the same point, as we realized, is literally you have to strive for these failure moments, because you fail when you are trying something new. And that means you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Like Phil said, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So when you're doing that and you fail and you learn from it, that means you can get that much better, and your comfort zone has just expanded. So that way we have hopefully now expanded our comfort zone quite large, because we've failed a number of times, but we just think of that as a lesson learned, and we move forward from it. So
and that's where a lot of you may have seen the whiteboard that we have. We're always using it to debrief.
Yes.
Debrief every morning,
Every day.
every evening. We work late sometimes, but it's so useful to debrief on those failures. How can we learn and pivot?
Yeah.
One thing that's really important to mention, guys, is when we started our first business, the first profitable, or one of the profitable businesses that we ran in the last last year, I think, the fitness business.
Yeah.
We did that virtually.
Yes.
So that's really important to mention. We did that virtually.
True.
We weren't seeing each other at all. Like we weren't able to kind of collaborate in person. We did it purely through Zoom, Google Meets, whatever.
On the side of a full-time job.
On the side of a full-time job, which was also virtual.
Yeah. So when we now speak to people about what their objections are about when they're starting, they're like, oh, well, I can't meet anyone in person, or I have this problem, that problem. I'm doing a full-time job. I just don't have time. I'm busy. And we're just like, okay, yeah, we hear you. We completely understand. That is very much the case in your reality. But we know from experience that there are ways to find time, to make time. Because if it's a priority for you, you're going to make time. For example, if you're extremely hungry, no matter what's going on in your day, you're going to find some time to have a quick sandwich, right? In the same way, there's quick things that you can
I tried, but we're running late on this already. So
you missed your sandwich just now.
I missed my sandwich.
It's alright. We're gonna have dinner soon, so it should be alright.
But guys, okay, so we've been rambling on for a while, and hopefully you've got value out of this. We just to nip it in to kind of bring it to a kind of a bit of a point. We talked to you a bit about what our experiences with the fear of failure, and showed that it is very normal. It's a very normal part of running a profitable business. But our 3 top tips, which are ones that we think from our experience, the tips or the exercises or the shifts that have worked for us and helped us deal with the fear of failure and actually got us started and building a profitable business is, number 1, acknowledging the fear, acknowledging that it is normal, that it is part of the journey and the process, not only to growing your business but growing yourself as an individual. Reframing how you perceive failure. So rather than looking at it as a failure and giving up, you're looking at it as a learning curve or an opportunity to learn and continue growing your understanding of how to grow a business. And then the third one was reframing your mindset again on failure and understanding that failure is a stepping stone towards success. It's not it's not either failure or success. You got to go through the failures to get to your success.
Yeah. And again, the Go for Notebook is linked below in a description. If you're watching it on YouTube, check that out. You will not regret it.
For those of you guys who aren't subscribed to our channel on YouTube, go head over to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because we're releasing these sorts of videos every day. And let us know what you think as well. Whichever platform you're on, let us know what you think. DM us and tell us let us know any sort of questions you have or what you think of this sort of video.
Yeah. Yeah,
we're
we're
trying new
testing it out.
things.
This is a new thing for us. We haven't done
Exactly.
a video like this, and you guys on IG know we used to do lives before, but this is a completely new type of live for us. So we haven't done it before. Let us know in your feedback. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are there any comments that we can improve on? Just let us know. Like we
And
said, we're always looking for feedback.
exactly. And most importantly, guys, subscribe and stay tuned and follow us on whatever platform because we have got big things coming very soon. Very
Big
soon. We're
things.
working long days, long nights to get something really special out to you guys. So stay tuned and we will speak to you guys soon.
See ya.
See ya.